My name is Prashant Srivastav. I'm the director for the South Asia at Seneca College, Toronto. I'm joined with my colleague Nagasarat Pandurangi, Regional Business Development Manager for South Asia, to speak on this pertinent topic of impact of COVID-19 on international education and Seneca's response. This has been I welcome you all. This has been a matter of concern for all of us, COVID-19 pandemic, and it has impacted all the industries. Today, we are going to talk about the impact of COVID-19 on international education and Seneca's response. We thank HDFC Credila, the education loan specialist, in taking the lead and organizing this session today. So we will start with a brief couple of minutes with Seneca about where we are located, and then we will dive into detailed discussion on the impact of COVID-19 on international education. Uh, so we will start with a brief about Canada, since Seneca is located in Canada. So Canada is the second largest country in the world. You can see from the map there are 10 provinces, 3 territories. The official languages are English and French. Over 90% of Canadian population it lives across the US border. So there is a huge proximity between Canada and US, strong trade relations, strong people to people relations. However, the education system has a difference. The Canadian education system is different than the US education system. So Naga, can you please put the next slide? So in Canada, the education is a provincial jurisdiction. Every province in Canada has its own Ministry of Education, and it mandates the regulations and operations of colleges and universities. In the province of Ontario, there are 24 colleges, and then there are universities. The colleges, as you can see in these slides, they offer 2-year diploma programs, 3-year advanced diploma program, 4-year applied degree programs, 1-year graduate programs. In the university, in Canadian system, it offers 4-year degrees, 2-year master degrees, and again the PhDs. However, the college system in Ontario is very practical. There is a lot of emphasis on applied learning. Most of the programs, they have work integrated learning, which is called as co-op, inbuilt in the curriculum. So the program itself is designed in a way that student, when they study, they get the practical experience while studying, and then when they complete the program, they're job ready. So the job readiness of programs in colleges attracts not only international students, domestic students, but also students who have completed their university degrees. So you can see from the slide, even when the student they complete their 2-year master degrees from universities, our 1-year graduate programs, the graduate certificate programs, are attractive to those audience because they lead to an employment right away. That students, when they complete those programs, they become employable and they get into the job market. These programs also lead to industry certifications. These programs are also designed in consultation with industry stakeholders, which means the programs advisory committee also at Seneca and in colleges in Ontario, it consists of industry experts. The professors in colleges, they also are subject matter experts. They bring the industry experience and expertise in the classroom. So that's another differentiator between a college and a university. At the same time, we do have pathway agreements by which students can transfer from a college to university when they complete 2-year degrees, 2-year diploma, and 3-year advanced diploma. They have a pathway to get in the universities. Similarly, colleges also offer 4-year degrees, so students can choose to stay in the college and graduate with a degree from college. Seneca was one of the first colleges from Ontario colleges which was authorized to award its degrees, and we offer over 19 applied degree programs. Means this is a brief about the wide variety of programs which are offered at Seneca. This is a polytechnic education which Seneca offers in Canada, and these programs again are very practical. There are more than 290 programs, which leads to 500 different career options. Again, the emphasis on the job readiness and the career aspirations of the students. So programs have experiential learning in it, and there is a huge connect with the industry. Also, the programs provide a lot of hands-on experience with the lab and with exposure with the co-op programs for the students. These programs are also very attractive for international students. At Seneca, we have over 10,000 international students. In total, we have close to 30,000 full-time students, 70,000 part-time students, and 10,000 international students from around 170 countries. So we have one of the largest numbers of international students in among Ontario colleges in Canada. Incentive for international students to study in Canada is study, work, and live opportunity. So many of the programs, they lead to postgraduate work permit. So for example, if a student will study a 2-year diploma or a 3-year advanced diploma, or the student will choose to do 2 postgraduate certificate programs, that way they will be able to complete 2+ years of education, and that can lead up to a 3 years of postgraduate work permit. So this becomes one of the incentive or opportunities for international students to study in Canada, that they are able to work while they are studying, and also they are able to get a postgraduate work permit after they complete their studies. And many of the international students, they also choose an opportunity to apply for permanent residency, which means they can study, they can work in Canada, and eventually they have opportunity to become permanent residents of Canada also. So this attraction of Canadian education linked with potential work opportunities and also immigration attracts a lot of students. We have Canada has become a leader now in international education. International education is contributing to Canadian economy. Students also are a contributor by contributing to the skill development and also meeting the labor market needs in Canada also. So international students in Canada, there are over 600,000 international students studying at all different levels in Canada, among which majority of them, close to 50% of them, they study in Ontario. Ontario is one of the biggest recipient of international students in Canada. The growth of international students in Canada has been phenomenal. Like according to Canadian Bureau of International Education, the increase is over 154% since between 2010 to 2018. So the growth has been growing. More number of international students are choosing Canada, and now Indian students have overtaken China, and they are the largest segment of international students in Canada. Oh, the growth for Indian student has been again phenomenal since 2014. It was just under 350%. As of now, we have over 225,000 international students from India studying in Canada. So the number of international students from India has increased tremendously. It is approximate to 35% of all international students actually. This slide depicts from where the students are coming from. So you can see India is now the leader of international students in Canada with over 30%, and even even countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, the neighboring countries to India, have also contributed to significant growth of international students in Canada. And it goes with the trend as well, because India has a younger demographic. More Indian students, they're aspiring to study abroad. Um, Again, like education is important has been always given an importance by Indian parents, and then Canadian institutions, they have a capacity to accept students. So it becomes a matter of demand and supply also, that the Canada needs more younger people to come to Canada, and Canadian education has become a channel through which students are coming to Canada. They achieve Canadian education, and then they enter in the workforce. So it has been a win-win situation for both Canada and India. So when we look into the financial contribution, the contribution of international students in Canada is enormous. So the financial contribution is over $22 billion. It supports 170,000 Canadian jobs. International students, they further meet the shortage of skilled workers in Canada. They work part-time, they're employed by Canadian employers, and they work full-time after completing their studies in Canada. Most of the Canadian businesses, they are SMEs. Over 90% of Canadian businesses are small and medium-sized enterprises, and they attract a lot of students. So the students, when they are working part-time, when they're doing their co-op, these are the SMEs which employ students. And also when students, they gather that part-time experience, these are the companies which further nurture students for employment. For example, in Seneca, we have over 1,000 industry partnerships to place students and to collaborate on different projects. So that becomes very attractive uh, opportunity for students to engage in companies, to work while they are studying. And this attracts students from India because we have experienced students from India. They look for opportunities to work part time. They want to gather full-time experience in the relevant field of studies, and Canada presents that opportunity. So it becomes a Canadian dream for Indian students to pursue, and we have been very attractive in attracting students from India. In fact, according to Canadian Experience Class, one of the immigration pathway which has been designed for international students and foreign workers accounted for 34% of new immigrants in Canada. So it is a very important source for Canadian immigration, and this is both economical and social contribution of international students that has been there for the Canadian economy and for the Canadian society. So it was all going well, and then all of a sudden, the whole world was hit by COVID-19 pandemic. So the growth, as you see, the contribution of international education has been phenomenal. But with COVID-19 pandemic, we all has been hit. More than 180 countries have reported cases of COVID-19. And as we speak today, over 4.5 million people around the world have been infected. Over 300,000 people have lost their lives. So the COVID-19 pandemic has hit all of us hard. All the sectors, same as international education sector, is also not immune to it. We have faced unprecedented situation. So in this unprecedented situation, we have unprecedented response also, which I'm going to talk to you in the further slides. So the biggest impact has been the economic impact. Economic impact, as you can see, like stock market crashed. Industries such as oil and gas, they took a big hit. Travel and tourism sector means the flights and all, like the travel bans came across. So it has hit all the sectors, and each and every human being on the planet has been have been affected. So no one is immune to COVID-19. No industry, no human being. And this has restricted on the travel restrictions also. It has affected the global supply chain. Our industries like international education, it depends on the mobility. When we are not able to travel, that definitely is going to affect the mobility of the students. There are flight bans which has been imposed by over 100 countries. So when there is no mobility, the students cannot come. Also with COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of threats. Countries are in lockdown. Non-essential non-essential businesses are closed in almost most of the countries. So it has affected, means travel restrictions. Because of that, student cannot come. So because of these challenges, again, means when we analyze the trend, a lot of companies, they did a lot of surveys also. What will be the impact? What could be the future impact on education? So next slides, I will present you what impacts we have observed based on the survey reports and also from the newsletter coming out of India. Next. So we present here a survey which was done by one of the biggest education portal Siksha.com. So here we see that Canada still is on the radar for international students from India. They are choosing 25% of them are choosing Canada as a destination choice, ahead of many other countries. And this has not impacted the motivation of Indian students of pursuing their higher education. This means students from India, they want continuity in their education. They want to continue their educational endeavors, and they want to go abroad as well for education, even during this time of COVID-19 pandemic and this unprecedented situation. So over 72% respondents, they said that they are planning to go in 2020, and 27% of respondents, they are planning for 2021 or later. Next slide. According to a survey by India Today, according to a report by India Today, it shows that over 90% of Indian students want to continue studying abroad, even in COVID-19 lockdown situation. So again, these trends, these reports, these uh, um, in these all information, they endorse the view that Indian students are not demotivated by COVID-19 pandemic. They are continuing with their study abroad program. Some of them may pursue by online mode also. Some of them could delay, so it could be a temporary pause, but it will not impact the future prospects of students' aspiration to for international education. As a country, Canada has taken a lot of measures, and these measures have been commended by different stakeholders. This response which Canadian government has taken in view of this situation. Next slide, Naga. Of course, this has presented a lot of challenges to all of us. Our campuses are closed. We are functioning online. Um, all non-essential businesses have been asked to close due to pandemic. This has also contributed to financial stress. A lot of students, a lot of people working in the industry, they have lost their job. It has also impacted for a social stress. We are not used to of social distancing and physical distancing. In fact, when it comes to more about India, it is again very difficult to implement social distancing because we are so much attached, so much tied up in living together. So this is a stress for us when the students who are living overseas, they have been asked to isolate, they have been asked not to meet their friends, not to go out. So it has caused a lot of stress and anxiety among the student community also. International students in Canada, they are also facing survival challenges because many Canadian businesses have shut down. Although these are temporary challenges, but these are real challenges. Um, all and due to the travel restrictions imposed by both India and Canada, students cannot go back. It has impacted the mobility. We are advising students to stay wherever they are, stay safe, stay home. This is advice we are giving to students. This has also affected the availability of the budget to fund education of parents as well. So definitely, when it comes to financing the education, parents in India, they fund students' education. So because of COVID-19, this has also taken a big hit, the decrease of the available budget to fund education. Next. So, so with the Canadian immigration policy, like what the response has been from the Canadian government, it has been proactive. It is not reactive. It in unprecedented times they have responded unprecedentedly. This is first time in the history of Canadian immigration. They have allowed online learning. If the students will pursue online learning, it won't impact their postgraduate work permit for international students. You can see from the previous slide that majority of the international students, they choose to study in Canada because Canadian immigration has this special incentive for them that they can work part-time, they can work full-time after completing their studies. So this postgraduate work permit is an opportunity for international students. When they complete their Canadian education, they can work full-time. So that has not been impacted. In case the Canadian institutions, they deliver online education, and students, they subscribe, they study online, staying in their home countries, the postgraduate work permit will not be impacted. Also in Canada as well, a large number of international students, since the campuses are not open, they are pursuing education by online mode, so their postgraduate work permit applications will not be impacted. Again, this recommendation is for students who have received their Canadian visas, they are in India, they are overseas, and they want to enroll in the online program. This announcement is helpful for them, is a reassurance from Government of Canada, their postgraduate work permit will not be impacted. As long as they complete 50% of their program online and they have obtained their visa, they are outside and they are not able to travel due to COVID-19 pandemic. So this is a big announcement. This announcement came yesterday, May 14th. This announcement was made for the fall term. Before that, the announcement had come for ongoing students who were enrolled in winter term and for May term also. So this response, this support from Canadian immigration, from Government of Canada is unprecedented. So as I said, unprecedented problems, unprecedented situation has resulted into an unprecedented response. This is a support to Canadian educational institution. This is a support to international students who have aspirations to pursue Canadian education, and also they look forward to work in Canada, and also if they choose to immigrate to Canada. This is a support for all the stakeholders in the field of international education. So again, Canadian institutions, all the Canadian institutions, they have designed their own response. Each institution has responded, and many of colleges, they may have cancelled the May intake, and a number of them, they have moved courses to online platform also. So these are the, again, response based on the challenges which Canadian institutions are facing due to COVID-19. Many Canadian institutions also have announced COVID-19 emergency fund, and this fund is given to both international students and domestic students. So in that respect, from institutional response point of view, student is a student is a student. So they have not differentiated between a domestic or international students. The emergency response fund by educational institutions is available to both domestic and international students. There is a large Indian community also present in Canada, and in partnership with Canadian Council General, Indian High Commission in Ottawa, several of the Indian NGOs, non-profit organizations have helped. They have gone out of way to support international students from India, to help them with their grocery supplies and necessary supplies. Even they have delivered it at their residence wherever they are. Foundations such as Canada India Foundation, these organizations, there is Seva Foundation, they are playing a big role. They have developed an online portal also to assist international students for, for supplies and for necessary needs. So here I will hand over now the proceedings to Naga, and my colleague Naga, he can speak on Seneca's response, and then in the end we can have question and answers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prashant. And coming to the Seneca's response, as Prashant has mentioned, each institution has designed their own response, and Seneca's response has been unprecedented, as Prashant has mentioned. Everyone at Seneca is fully committed for the safety and well-being of our students. With the rapidly changing circumstances during the pandemic, Seneca has taken a number of measures to take care of the students. As Prashant has mentioned, the COVID-19 relief fund was allowed both for domestic and international students. There was a deadline to apply. We'll talk about the COVID-19 fund in our next slide. The summer intake, which is starting on May 19th, has been completely moved online. All the students who are not able to travel due to the travel restrictions can take it online, because the 50% allowance that has the IRCC has given 50% allowance for students who are unable to make it to Canada and study in their own country. No announcements have been made from Seneca for the September intake yet. We have a specific website that you can go to and keep updated yourself with the proceedings. The link is on the presentation. And we also recommend all international students to check the Government of Canada's advisory board. We have given the link in the website again, in the presentation again. At this time, the government requires any student entering to be self-isolated for 14 days. However, our recommendation is to stay put, because you have the allowance of taking 50% of your course online. So please do not risk and fly all the way. It is important to take care of yourself also. So please stay put as long as the 50% online delivery is there. Moving on to next slide. Like I've mentioned, Seneca Relief Fund for COVID-19. Seneca is in association with Seneca Student Federation. That's our student body, and the government of Ontario has committed more than 2 million to the students experiencing financial stress. So all the students who have applied for this COVID-19 relief fund were given $250 upwards, at least a minimum of $250 and upwards, to help them with their food or any other demands that they might come across during this pandemic. And though Seneca Relief Fund, through the Seneca Relief Fund, we have 9,000 students who have been benefited by this relief fund. This includes both the college has also loaned 1,200 laptops, particularly because the intake has been moved online. We understand that many of the international students might not have a laptop handy to take the classes online. So we have loaned around 1,200 laptops to the students who are in need of a laptop to take the course online. In a time like this, it is important how we take care of our own students, and also at the same time, it is important how we give it back to the society. So, Seneca students and employees answered to the call of local hospitals and donated personal protective equipment and supplies to the hospitals during this COVID-19 pandemic. The medical equipment and supplies included ventilators, because Seneca also runs a number of nursing programs. We have uh, ventilators available. The equipment also includes ventilators, surgical gowns, N95 respiratory masks, and hand sanitizers and other cleaning equipment as well. It was distributed to three GTA hospitals: GTA's Greater Toronto Area Hospitals, South Lake Region Health Center, North York General, and Markham Stowell Hospital. So these are the three hospitals that were given supplies to. And we have also provided some useful resources on this slide that will help you to find out more about what Seneca is doing, what government of Ontario is doing, what is City of Toronto doing in these pandemic situation, and what are various types of helps available, and also the immigration updates. If you have to keep updating yourself, there is an update almost every 2 weeks. So please keep yourself updated about the immigration rules before you take a flight and come to Canada. That ends our presentation.